The Clemson Tigers traveled to whatever town Duke is in. It's escaping me. I know that's not Duke.
Durham.
Wow. Durham. Wow. There goes that. Traveled to Durham and regret that trip. Lose that game 28-7. I want to start with some comments that Dabo made. He said that in his time at Clemson, they are 58-0 when they have rushed for 200 and passed for 200. That Clemson is all-time 108-0 when those two things have happened. Listen, Clemson, you talk about leaving points off the board. Clemson went up and down the field, missed field goal, blocked field goal, and 2 fumbles. Unbelievable. What's crazy, though, is if you add those points, so let's say 2 touchdowns, 14-21, and 2 field goals, 24-27, they would have won by 1 or lost by 1.
And that's if they executed all of it to the max.
Yes.
Because the points that they did have, the 7 points that they did have, are off the heels of a muff punt.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah. Muff punt.
Yeah.
Granted them the field position to go get their 7. How could you possibly – I can't find it in me to be high on this Clemson team at this rate. I mean, I was.
No,
after this game is what I'm meaning, because I was as well coming in. I thought Klubnik would be the truth there. I thought they should have been able to run the ball with Shipley and Maffa really well. The one question I had was, are they going to get back to the point of making an argument? They're not it this year, but are they going to make an argument for wide receiver year? They're going to make some noise on the outside again. I didn't know who those guys would be if they did do it. I don't believe that they have those guys on the team this year to do that after last night's game. I don't trust their running game when they're not executing handoffs and reads and mesh points in week 1.
Mm-hmm.
You should have your ball security should be on point to me in week 1. I know that issues come up, but these were simple things that took points directly off the board for them. You have a new offensive coordinator that everyone's super excited in, young Riley. And boy, it looked like Clemson's offense. I think Dabo had a quote on that as well.
Well, supposedly he has Riley handcuffed, and Dabo has a heavy hand in this. And if you're going to bring a guy like that in who took TCU to a national championship game, let him do his job.
Yep. You spend the entire offseason installing, do what you got to do, cut him loose. Yeah, I mean, you've got athletes. You don't have the greatest receiving room in the country, definitely not in the conference, but you have dudes out there like Antonio Williams is a baller. You got a true freshman out there who I think had a great reception. You've got Bo Collins. You've got Tyler Brown is the one I was referencing. So you've got a room. They're nice. Let him cut it loose, man. Will Shipley, 17 for 114. Phil Maffa, I think that's how you say that, 11 for 65. Cade was 12 for 34. Cade throwing was 27 for 43, 209, a touchdown and a pick. And then we flip to the other side. Duke Blue Devils. Riley Leonard will play in the NFL, and he will play in the NFL for a very long time. Kid was 17 for 33, only $175, but he is a football player who can also do the quarterback thing. Absolutely, he is. Absolutely, he is. When he made that fantastic run to the end zone, just shifting out of it, not going down, eventually getting to the outside and going up and scoring. I was like, well, there's Daniel Jones 2.0. I mean, right. the last Duke quarterback to really go in and have a lot of draft buzz, which I think you're correct on. I think Riley Leonard will. I couldn't have been more shocked. And again, I'm going to beat this into the ground this year, I think, but I've got to quit trusting the establishment so much, because I'm like, oh yeah, Clemson's going to go in and cover. I think it was 13.5. It was right around 2 touchdowns. They couldn't have looked worse. I mean, honestly, their comparison would be in that's comparable to South Carolina's offensive line. That's comparable to Florida's offensive dysfunction, not in the whole, but in part. Just don't know what you're doing in week 1 doing those things.
Not sure what you're doing at all, but give Duke credit, because you know what? Their roster isn't your typical Duke football team. They've got some players out there. Mm-hmm. Most notably, outside of Riley Leonard, I want to point the attention to Al Blades Jr., whose daddy was a Miami legend. When did he transfer out of Miami and end up in Duke? The Blue Devils are happy he did. He's a tone setter. He wants to lay you out. Mm-hmm. But Duke, they've got a tackle who could very easily go first round. He'll definitely fall second or third round. So they've got talent out there. Mike Elko has done wonders in Durham, North Carolina, and it's only year 2.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know what that didn't look like Clemson circa 2013 to current, 2014 to current. Deshaun and late Taj Boyd Eric to current. It doesn't look like them. I mean, I don't recall Dabo being someone that wanted to handcuff an OC or, only do the safe thing with the OC. I don't recall him being that guy. I don't know what's got him in that mood. I think he needs to wake up or like get out of the profession, because if you don't want to play NIL and you don't want to play portal, you're probably not playing college football anymore.
Right. Yeah.
And then if you're going to handicap your offensive coordinator who a lot of teams would have taken, then I mean, I don't know what you're doing. You don't seem to me like someone who seriously wants to be in the sport that much longer.
If you're a Clemson fan, are you calling for his head?
I don't think I would be in week 1, but if it's, think about it. If it's another year where they're not only out of the playoff, and this would be the new aspect, they're out of the playoff, but they're not that close to being in the playoffs, then I do think the seat's actually hot 2024 for sure. Because here's another, you want to throw the insult to the injury. Would you like me to go ahead and do that?
Sure.
DJ missed 5 passes on Saturday.
Yeah.
He had his best game of his career at Oregon State with far less weapons when he's not doing those things against, San Jose State in the Clemson orange.
Right.
But he did it in the Oregon State orange. And I can't wrap my head around that. We know what he is athletically. We know how big he is, how strong he is. And you can't find a way to use him. And I was like, last year and rewatching the Syracuse Clemson game from last year, just recently, I said to myself, they'll never have a quarterback this bad again. He sucks. I'm wrong. It's not him. It's something over there in Clemson.
At this point, right? It's got to be something inside the walls of Clemson. Now, they've got a little bit of time to figure it out, and I want to kind of hang around this conversation just for a minute. They're going to host Charleston Southern next week. They're going to host Florida Atlantic the week after that, and then they're going to host Florida State.
Boy.
All right, so let's just paint this scenario very quickly. You said you're not out on Dabo yet if you're a Clemson fan. Well, let's say you beat Charleston Southern and FAU by 3 scores. All right. But the wins are very meh. You know what I mean? Very, very bleh. Like, you did it, right? The scoreboard shows 3 scores, but the fan knows, like, that was not good.
Yep.
And then you host Florida State. And let's just say they tear you to shreds. Let's say 41-14.
Yeah.
Now are you out on Dabo?
Man, I don't think you can move away from the things that he's done there this year.
I'm not saying
I don't think you can.
I'm just saying as a fan, are you like done? You get like I want him gone. Like I want it out.
I don't think I would be. I don't think I would be, because I mean, again, two national championships, another appearance or 2 into the playoff. Are you? And if that scenario happens, are you?
It's going to be hard to do it during the season, so probably not. But if the season unfolds and we get into another offseason where he's not active in the portal and he's not doing those things, yeah, I hate to say it, but yeah, you're trending the opposite direction.
Yeah,
trending the opposite direction.
And I don't mean to be, lackadaisical in my handling of him if I'm the AD in this situation. But yeah, we're having conversations like, look at what Florida State, look at what Florida State, look at what LSU, look at what Ole Miss, look at what these teams are doing in the portal. Colorado with 80-something new players. If you have a hole, don't be a stick in the mud. Go fill the hole and then use the guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, one man's trash is another man's treasure. Go make it that way and fill up your roster with that, because to me it looks like their talent's taking a marginal step back. I don't know how big it is, but it looks like it's a step back. On the outside, they don't have quite the same speed. They definitely, Duke made them quit last night. I believe in that. I don't think they're as bad as the 28-7 showing that it was, but Duke made them quit, and I just can't believe I'm saying those words.
Duke made them quit.
So it really makes me question what kind of effort that is in week 1 when hope should be springing eternal. I mean, they were in that game midway in the fourth quarter, and then very quickly and very stupidly, due to the ignorant fumbles that they had, they were not in the game.
It's a little Jimbo Fisher-esque.
That's a good way to put it. It feels a little bit like Jimbo in Tallahassee.
Yes. And it's, and their ACC slate is not easy. So they're going to host Florida State. They're going to travel to Syracuse. Don't know much about those guys. Host Wake Forest. Travel to Miami. Who's Miami going to be? Travel to NC State. That's never easy for Clemson. Yes, NC State doesn't have Devin Leary, but they have Brennan Armstrong, who's a baller.
Yeah.
They're going to host Notre Dame. Sam Hartman. Are you really going to turn the ball over like that and give Sam Hartman chance after chance after chance? Georgia Tech has improved. They were right there with Louisville.
My goodness.
North Carolina. Then you're going to travel to South Carolina, who doesn't have an offensive line. So,
and maybe that's a game for bowl eligibility if this season unfolds the way that it could.
That is a fascinating concept. That's a fascinating. I mean, it's
and I'm
right there on the table.
Yeah, and I'm half kidding, but it is on the table. It is firmly on the table, really, especially with South Carolina. But
if we continue to see the Clemson that we saw on Monday night, yes.
Yeah, in that case, if the season does absolutely deteriorate, I'm out. I'm out at that point, because I don't think you can be too lackadaisical. I'm all for giving a guy a chance if he's brought me a couple of natties and some playoff appearances. But I mean, if you go from that narrowly missing the playoff 2022 to 6-6 or around that, or 8-4, even with some terrible losses, your seat's hot.
No kidding. Well, that said, I'm selling my Clemson stock and I'm buying Duke Blue Devil stock.
Yeah, I'm buying Duke stock. I'm throwing the rest, getting another share or two of Florida State Seminole stock, and that's who I'm riding with in the ACC.